Hello, hello. Good morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world. Just wanted to do a little check-in. This is Chris de Lobo, by the way, if we haven't actually connected before. So hello to those who are coming in. Feel free to give me a little wave or say where you're watching from. It's been a while since I've done this kind of check-in, but I thought it would be helpful just to chat, see where everybody's at, see how you're holding up, how you're feeling. I'll ask you that question in a moment, etc. But as everybody is coming in, feel free to say where you're watching from or give me a wave. I know a lot of people are working remotely now, more so than ever before. So you might be your location might be your couch or your home office, or somebody said the other day they're working from their floor. So wherever it is, let me know. What's up from Utah? Hey, what's up? Love your book. Greetings from Oman. That's fun. How is life in Oman? I haven't been in Muscat for quite a while. The beach, very fun. Cool. From Pakistan. Amazing. So we'll just chat for a second, and then I'll share a couple of things with you. Just some things that I've been processing, some things I'm working on, how I'm hoping to kind of make some changes. And this is all kind of a work in progress. So you're essentially watching like a behind the scenes, except it's also the scenes, the scenes and also the behind the scenes at the same time. Hello from Iran, New York City area. Hey, stay safe, both you guys. Iran, New York City, Brazil, Birmingham, UK, Canary Islands. Amazing, fantastic. So here's my question as we kind of kick things off. And it's a pretty obvious question. The question is, how are you feeling? So open question. You can answer however you want. And I want to encourage you to just answer honestly. Like, don't worry about, like, in this situation, sometimes I feel like people think they're supposed to answer a certain way. And if they say something, that's different, it might be wrong somehow, So how are you feeling? If you're anxious, if you're scared, just say you're anxious. It's okay. At the same time, if you're doing all right yourself and you're excited about something you're working on, that's okay too, right? We can often feel more than one thing at a time. So just to encourage you that, excuse me, your book was inspiring. Thank you. Hello from Portugal. Waves of inspiration and panic. That is a great phrase. Waves of inspiration and panic. Yeah, I like that. I think, like I said, people are feeling a lot of things at the same time. And that's normal. I think the wrong thing to do is to kind of tell yourself, oh, I have to feel this at this time or whatever. So Wayne says, I'm getting through my projects, but wish I had more energy and drive. I've been hearing that from some people. I've been hearing from people who are, really working on a project and excited about it, and other people that are just kind of like a little bit scattered, which, also makes sense. I'm 15 years old and I started to read $100 Startup. I'm a good role model. I don't know if I'm a good role model, but I'm hopeful that you like the book. Thank you for sharing there. So for those just joining, I'm asking, how are you feeling? Somebody had this great phrase a moment ago, waves of inspiration and panic, which is really interesting, right? Because panic is not generally a helpful emotion or state of being. Like even in a sense of like, genuine terror or something, panic is not always helpful because sometimes it can cause us to make like the wrong decision, essentially. Like, it's okay to be scared, it's okay to be anxious, but somehow it's good to like redirect that, in some fashion, and to ask ourselves like, what's within our control? Like, what can we do and such? What's up, Evan Carmichael? Hey man, how are you doing? You're amazing. I learned so much from video, from watching you. So everybody follow Evan, except they already do because, he's famous. We are cautious. A couple other people said some stuff. Just going to scroll back. Software developer, used to working at home. Yeah, it's really interesting to see people transition, right? Transition to working from home who have not done so before. So we can talk about that at some point. But anyway, panic. Panic is not usually helpful. And so what happens when something that is safe, something that's known to us, is withdrawn, like it's taken away, especially when it's all of a sudden, then we often, feel this panic, like panic ensues. And so for those who are out of work, in particular, those who are either unemployed now or facing uncertain employment or underemployed, or kind of in a situation of like, I'm not sure what's happening with my work or my job, the kind of the natural consequence is that sense of panic. And then also like, oh my gosh, I have to go and get another job, right? I have to go and like find a way to get another job. And, the challenge there is like, well, if you are, out of work or underemployed or whatever because of this situation that's happening, then it's probably because there's not much work, in that career field, or that has been disrupted and changed. And so it's going to be hard, to go out and get another job doing the same kind of thing, because, there's a shortage of that, and the whole entire economy is affected and such. And then, also, it's just, like I said, it's a tough economy in general. So I think what is helpful, well, first of all, the culminating effect is like you fall into despair, right? You fall into despair. I'm just scrolling up here. Let's see here. There we go. You fall into despair, and you're like, oh my gosh, what's next? What can I do? Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming in. Scared, inspired, numb, grateful. And so first of all, I don't want to just diminish that sense of feeling afraid and, afraid and uncertain and all that. The good news, if there is any good news, is that we're all in this together. A lot of people are experiencing it at the same time, which is very unusual. And here's what I want to point out. If all of a sudden you have, less work for whatever reason, then there are negative consequences to that. And at the same time, you are now gifted with more of your most important and precious resource, which is time. Like, time is finite. We all have the same amount of time. It's not something we can buy more of. Like, time, once it's gone, it's just gone, right? So now you have this time. And so what I'm trying to do, like how I'm shifting some of my work, which I'll talk about here in a second, I want to, just try to feature a lot more stories of people who are navigating this world in different ways, and also just kind of help people understand the opportunity in the time of uncertainty. So I'm kind of restructuring a lot of my work that way. Let me see who else has joined. By the way, thanks everybody. You guys are awesome. I'm going to do a lot more of these, by the way. This is a work in progress, but I'm going to start doing a series of daily check-ins, maybe even something a bit more formal, but at least this for now. So if you see me go live later, I would love for you to come back and just kind of join the conversation so that we can co-create something together. So here's what's happening in my world, and if anybody else wants to answer that question, how are you feeling? Let me know. If I don't see your comment right away, it's just because I'm, looking up a little bit, but I will go back and read everything later. So in my world, I've got this book coming out, The Money Tree. It comes out on April 7th. I'm very excited about it. You can see it matches my sofa art. That was one of my requirements with the publisher. I was like, I want the book cover to match, the art that's in my office exactly. And I think they did a pretty good job, right? Hi from Switzerland. Hi, everybody. So I'm really excited about the book. The subtitle is Finding the Fortune in Your Own Backyard. And I feel like it's very, very relevant to these times, right? It's very relevant to this day and age where people are feeling that insecurity. I'm just going to give it a little wave real quick here and post that, and then think that's going to clear my screen. There we go. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Hi, by the way. So I was really excited about going on a big book tour, which I have not done in a long time. Like for my last book, the timing was a little bit abbreviated. I did 12 cities. But for this one, I was going to do 40 cities, 40 cities, and was so excited. Had all the plane tickets booked, all the hotels, all the different venues and bookstores, and you kind of know, what happened, right? The same thing that happened with so much other disruption. So at first I was like, man, I'm really disappointed because I love having the chance to talk to readers and listeners, meet people on the tour. That's how I've kind of built my community from the beginning. And I do very much enjoy that. And I look forward to being able to do that again in the future. So the tour is postponed. It's not canceled. As soon as I can do it safely and infrastructure is rebuilt and all that, I look forward to doing it. But what I was asking myself is, okay, this is the message that I teach all the time. I teach all about opportunities and spotting different ideas, how to make money in different ways, how to kind of reframe situations, different hacks and tools and strategies and all this. I mean, how do I apply that for myself, right? And I have to be growing, I have to be evolving along the way. And so I was like, what do I do at this time? And I'm still kind of figuring it out, but my goal is essentially virtual book tour. And, the book comes out April 7th. I'm starting this series of check-ins now. I want to speak to people wherever they are, in their living room, on Zoom calls, to groups, co-working spaces that are now co-working distantly or remotely or virtually. So I'm also trying to kind of, navigate the situation and figure out, okay, what do I do? And I want to share more stories along with that too, but I'll come back to that. So hello for everybody who's joining in. Thank you Hello from Portugal. Somebody said they're reading $100 Startup. Cool, awesome. Let's see, scroll up. Someone says, I wish I could be in one of those cities. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. I'm not going to be there either. So, that's the thing about book tour is it's really fun. It's really cool for everybody who's able to come out. But even when I go a lot of places, I still can't go everywhere, and some people can't come out. Some people, are working that night or whatever. So that's why I'm reframing a little bit and saying, okay, I've believed for a decade now that digital community is still real community. Like we have real connection. A lot of people I have met online and then met in so-called real life, and it's like just kind of pick up seamlessly. So what is my job? What is my responsibility during this time? Just to get the message out about the book. But ultimately, it's not about the book. It's like, the book is essentially empowerment. The book is helping people think differently, learn to build security in uncertain times. So what is the best way for me to do that? So that's why I'm starting this series of check-ins. Let's see what we got here. By the way, say hi if you would like, if you've not already. Sid from India, saw my courses on LinkedIn Learning. Yeah, that's right. I have a couple courses on LinkedIn Learning that are completely free. If you are a member of LinkedIn Learning or lynda.com, and I think you can actually join through your public library and get a free lynda.com membership. So one of the courses that's done particularly well is 32 ways to make extra money. And I tried to make that just very, very practical and very quick hitting, like do this, do this, do this. So again, that's completely free if you have a LinkedIn Learning account, or you can get one free with lynda.com. Cheers from Space City, Houston, Texas. Let's see. Okay, I'm seeing Pedro's note here. You launched a pocket ashtray business to help smokers store their cigarette butts instead of throwing them on the ground, but now the sales stopped completely. Okay, I'm going to come back to that. If anybody else has questions or comments, feel free to post them there. Hello from Turkey. Good. All right. So Pedro, feel free to share more about your story if you'd like. And I think you have a URL there, betabag.com. Cool. So, yeah, well, I think what's happening, first of all, sales of so many businesses, are tremendously affected during this time and vastly. Not just 10%, but probably like you said, 50% or more. And in some cases, it's just like an adjustment period. So like the thing that you mentioned, people who are trying to quit smoking, well, people are always going to want to try to quit smoking. That is going to be a need for a long time. But maybe perhaps, during this time, some of those smokers are like, I'm anxious, I'm going to worry about this later, perhaps. That's, one thought that I have. I think it's always good to, hi from Brazil, hi from UK. Great idea to do virtual book tour. Thank you. I need some help too, by the way, because I'm still learning how to do it. And if you are associated with a group somewhere, let me know. I'll come back with more options about that. What I was going to say, though, about the Quitting Smoking Project is whenever there's this time of change, there's progress or disruption. So progress is usually thought of as positive, and disruption is usually thought of as negative. But either way, when there's progress, there are negative or adverse effects. Like some people are always harmed by progress, some industries are harmed by progress. And the same is true with disruption. Conversely, like some people and industries are harmed and others actually benefit. So this is part of a theme that I'm starting to work on. I'm going to teach a whole series on it. If you think about what are the kinds of businesses and industries that benefit from a time of uncertainty or disruption? And like right now, we talked earlier about remote work. So many people are working remotely, for the first time. They're learning how to do it. It's kind of funny. Like for those of us who have been self-employed or just otherwise used to working virtually, so many people are learning to do conference calls and Zoom, for the first time, and they're struggling with their routine, and they're like, how do I actually work from home? And I don't mean to make light of it. It's just for those of us that have been doing this, for a long time, it's like, welcome to our world, welcome to the world of working remotely. I saw this as Onion article about, how every conference call is like the entire nation and probably world now, a big part of our days consist of, logging into the virtual meeting and everybody, can you hear me now? Oh, you press this button. Oh, I think you're on mute. Okay, we need to do that. That's how everybody is kind of interacting. But the point is, virtual meetings and that kind of stuff, that industry is now taking off, right? Anything that provides security and assurance, like people are kind of flocking toward that. So you can think, what are the products and services associated with that value or that search that people are having? Similarly, connection and community. right? Like people, like we are feeling the disconnect more and more. We're longing to connect, but we can't go outside, at least in major parts of the world. So what is it we can do to kind of foster that commitment? But just to kind of close the loop on the ashtray thing, I still think it's probably a good idea. It's just a question of adjusting during this time. Let's see what everybody else said. Feel free to post a comment. And if you've just joined, earlier I was asking how are you feeling? So I'll come back to that and close it up in a few minutes. If you haven't posted that, feel free to post your answer. All answers are okay. As I said, don't feel like you have to say one thing or another. Let's see. I did Zoom for my Bible study for the first time last night. Yeah, it's my parents are doing Zoom with their college friends, and like they had never done that before. So everybody's adjusting and is trying to see different ways of doing things. Let's see here. Good. Let's see, what else did I want to mention? So, no physical book tour, but I'm excited about everything else I can do. I'm going to do these series of check-ins. Haven't decided on a time of day yet, but I'll try to probably keep it consistent. If you want to join in and just have a conversation and share on whatever is on your mind. I think it's really important these days to know that we are all in this together. And even though we're separate, like we're all in this together. And people all over the world who speak different languages and obviously have different life experiences, we're all feeling kind of similar things. And so I think it is important to stay connected wherever possible. Great feedback. Okay, cool. Thanks, Pedro. I'm glad you like that. What side hustles do you think will be created? I think all kinds of them will. I think people are going to use this time so well, and when I say that, just like disclaimer, I'm not saying there's something good about this situation, this crisis. Obviously, like if we could press a button and say, make it go away, we would. But since we can't, we can only control what's within, our influence. I think so many people are going to use this time to, first of all, ask some much bigger questions of life. Like, what do I want to do with my life? What do I want to do with my relationship? What do I want to do with wellness in general? All this kind of stuff. But then also just on a practical level, now I've got some extra time, and now I'm seeing the world a different way. What is it that I can go and create? So in terms of what side hustles, I think there's going to be all kinds of different projects. I think it's just like we're going to see, like in the weeks and months to come, obviously, so many negative adverse effects from the state of the world, but also some positive changes as well. Is it possible to start a side hustle with no money? Well, you should listen to Side Hustle School. It's completely free, sidehustleschool.com, or you can listen in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Every single day I have an episode of like 10 minutes long, and it's completely free. And I'm telling lots of different stories, including many stories of people who do this without spending any money at all. It's funny, I got a question on Twitter the other day that was like, hey, Chris, I have $5,000. Is that enough? To start my side hustle. And I was like, it's actually too much, probably, like don't spend $5,000. We've had a lot of stories of people not spending any money at all. So that's what I'm all about. All right, I'm going to close it down here in a moment. Thank you so much for everybody watching live. If I missed your comments, just come back next time and we'll do it again. I think it's so important, as I said, to know that we're in this together. Be sure you check up on somebody you haven't heard from, maybe send them a text, give them a call. Ask them to do a little Zoom or FaceTime or something. Just remember, as I said earlier, when we have these experiences, we can go away with a range of outcomes and responses. And I think the best thing is to say, again, what is within our control? How can I find the opportunity here? And what's the expression of that going to be? How can I create more security for myself, even in this time of so much change and disruption? So I'm very grateful to just know that there are people out there who are connected in this way, connected to me, connected to each other. So thank you for watching. You guys are awesome. I will see you in Muscat, whoever just said that. And hopefully I'll see everybody else here again soon. So we're going to do this again tomorrow. So just get the notification and come and say hi. Take care, everyone.